My Cutter coming your way from Burn by Rocky Patel, just a few blocks down from PNC Park. We are chatting with Steven Brault, the former Pirates pitcher. He's an analyst on Sportsnet Pittsburgh, along with our co-host Michael McHenry. And our first episode with Steven, we got into the draft when he was drafted. We got into a big argument, by the way, in case you have not heard or watched the episode. You can fast forward to instant replay. Almost went to blows. But we're talking about Steven, multifaceted, talented guy, certainly as a pitcher. We're going to get into some other areas besides baseball, but we've not talked to you about, you made mention of your Major League debut, but you didn't go into detail. July 5th, 2016 in St. Louis. What's your first memory of that?
My first memory of that is always when I first walked out to the mound. Okay. There's a lot of stories about this, but when I first walked out to the mound and I got on the mound and I looked at home plate and it looked like it was about 90 feet away. Because it was the first time I'd ever pitched with that big, like the stands in St. Louis goes back so far and then it goes straight up, right? And so like in the minor leagues, it doesn't go back as far anywhere. And so it really throws off your depth perception. And so it looked like it was 90 feet away and everything in that stadium was red. All the seats are red, all the fans are wearing red, everything was red. And those are the two main things I remember. But also, about 45 minutes before that start, I was losing my mind because I realized I had forgotten my glove.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I didn't bring my glove.
Where's your glove?
I left it in AAA.
No.
You were so excited?
Yeah, I was so excited that I forgot to pack my glove. Yeah, it's a real story. And about 45 minutes before the game, I realized, as I was getting ready for the game, I didn't have my glove. And so I panicked, and I went up to Jeff Locke, who was on our team at the time, and I was like, Jeff, I can't believe I have to ask this, but can I please use one of your gloves? And so my Major League debut, you can look at video. I'm wearing a glove that says Lockness on it.
That is great. I remember that game because I said, Steven Brault making his debut, nicknamed Lockness for some reason. We'll tell you about that later on. But, hey, tell us about, did you know Locke very well at all?
No.
What was his reaction?
He laughed at me.
Okay.
Yeah, he laughed at me. It is actually kind of nice. It kind of calmed me down, made me remember.
Yeah, that's great.
I'm still the same guy.
What a great story.
I'm still an idiot, this is just, I'm playing in the big leagues now. I forgot my glove, dude. It's crazy.
Still a kid's game.
What about the manager telling you you're going up?
Well, I got Dean Traynor was the manager for
what
us.
A beauty.
What a beauty.
What a beauty.
What a character.
What is he up to nowadays?
I have no idea.
We got to find out.
He had been a coach for the Marlins years ago. Yeah.
He was if you don't know who he is, he's very brusque, I would call him. His sense of humor is dark, I would say.
Yes.
So we were in Toledo, and I had pitched the game, the day before in Indianapolis. And we were in Toledo. And after the game ended, I had just come back from injury. So I legitimately thought there was no way. I was not expecting this in the slightest. There was no warning.
What do you mean you had just come back from injury?
I was injured for 8 weeks with a hamstring strain. I threw one rehab start in low A. I threw a rehab start in it was short season, one in low A, and then I made one start in AAA. It was 3 innings. I started in AAA for 3 innings. I got taken out of the game, and I was kind of surprised. I thought they were going to let me go 5. And then the next day, we were in Toledo, and after the game ended, Dean Traynor, whenever anybody was going to get called up, we always knew, because after the game, Dean would tell somebody to tell everybody, sit in the clubhouse after the game, nobody shower, nobody eat, just wait. So we knew somebody was going up. We thought it was Glasnow, because Glasnow was there too, and he hadn't made his debut yet. And sure enough, he literally said, they need a pitcher for 4 days from now, and I don't know why, but for some reason they want you, Brault. That is what he said.
That's perfect Dean Traynor
in front of the whole team, man.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, and it was the coolest thing ever. The funny thing was, Glasnow ended up making his major league debut the day after me in St. Louis as well. He was July 6th. Yeah. The day after me.
Do you want to hear something crazy?
He replaced me on the roster. I got optioned, and he got brought up.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know who was in St. Louis on July 6th? This guy.
Were you?
Yeah. Yeah.
No
Isn't that
way.
crazy? Yeah, I got called up that day before. Would have been up, maybe earlier on, but yeah, I was in St. Louis.
I'll give you $100 if you can name who the catcher was on my major league debut.
In
you too.
2016.
Eric Fryer.
That's $100 from Mike.
I was going to say Eric Fryer. We'll split it.
Fryer, man. He was his first game with the Padres, or with the Pirates. His first game was my first game.
Well, is that the
We
year
met
they went
that
through
day.
all the catchers?
Yeah, in 2011, it was me and him for a long time. We were in first place, and then they switched it all up. No big deal.
No big deal.
Yeah, he was great. He was great.
He was my first. I had never met him before.
He's got like 48 kids, too, by the way.
Is that right?
I'm not
He
surprised.
does, yeah.
Last name like Fryer.
Yeah, I mean, he's like a pilgrim.
Do you remember all the catchers they used that year then? I can't believe that was the same year.
Cervelli, Fryer, Stewart,
I think there were 8.
Kratz.
Kratz.
Oh, good call.
Was that? There's more.
There's
oh, yeah,
more.
there's 8, I thought, right?
I should remember more, but I was only up there. I had 3 starts that were all spot starts. Fun little story I was telling him the other day. My first 3 starts were in St. Louis, get option for 3 weeks. In Milwaukee, get option for 2 weeks. In Chicago.
Tell me that's not nuts.
Oh, my gosh.
16 in Chicago,
2016 Monday night against Jake Arrieta on like August 28th.
too. And it had to be Monday Night Baseball.
And it was Monday Night Baseball. It was national broadcast.
Yeah.
How'd you fare?
I went like 4.1, gave up 2 runs, something like
Nice.
that. It wasn't terrible.
Wow.
And he said he didn't like facing Arrieta, which I was.
Oh, hitting off of Arrieta.
What was that like?
It was, I couldn't see the ball. I grounded out to him, and I was so surprised that I hit the ball. I just swung,
I don't know how you
and I
see
just
it.
happened to hit the ball. But you know what's
The
funny?
crossfire.
He had a 14-pitch at bat against me that game. Do you remember that?
No.
14 pitch because Cervelli kept calling sliders, and then once we got to 3-2, he kept fouling off fastballs. I think I threw him like 8 fastballs in a row, and he fouled them off, all of them.
Oh, my
And then I
gosh.
finally
Wild.
threw a slider and I struck him out. But pitches 10 through 14, all 45,000 people in Wrigley Field
Going
were
crazier.
going absolutely
Louder and
nuts.
louder.
He
Yeah.
ruined your whole day.
And he ruined my whole day. Yeah, he took an
Jeez.
inning from me in one at bat. Jake Arrieta. Yeah.
That's one for you guys to break down one of these days
We
on
should.
your
We
for
should
your
break
post.
that
That'd
down.
be fun.
Yes.
By the way, I'm confused. You were with the Cardinals then.
Yeah.
That's why you were up there.
Yep. Because
that-
I saw there were some injuries in Pittsburgh, and I had an opt out, and I was thinking, man, maybe I go back, and then I get called up with St. Louis. We're playing Pittsburgh. I stayed for a month in St. Louis, got 2 plate appearances, stole your all signs. We won the series and moved on.
But it was 2011 for you with the Pirates.
11 was my first.
Yeah, that's when we had all the injuries. That's when we went through 8 catchers
Yeah,
that year.
yeah. But that year was another year at 16 when I think they had 5 or 6,
Yeah.
not more.
Okay, so in addition to how everything was red, also the first time you're going multi-level stadiums, right? Obviously, it's
yeah.
the biggest
It
stadium
just-
you've ever pitched in.
It just was so big, man. It was crazy. And
First
I had-
batter you faced.
First batter face was Matt Carpenter.
Left-handed hitter.
He grounded out.
You owned him.
I owned him in my career. I owned Matt
Really?
Carpenter. Oh yeah.
Nice.
But I got out of the first inning because Matt Holliday hit a ball about 180 miles an hour right to the first baseman with a runner on first. He just caught it, tagged first, double play.
Sweet.
And then one of my favorite moments, something you don't see very often, just a normal routine fly ball to right field, and Gregory Polanco just clanked it, made an error, dropped it. So I gave up 2 runs. One of them was unearned. And my first at bat was against Mike Leake. He was pitching for the Cardinals.
How about that? 2 great athletes there.
And he
against
went
each other. Leake and
cutter,
Brault.
strike 1, curveball, strike 2, and he tried to go backdoor 0-2, and I got to hit up the middle.
Your first at bat.
He tried to
First at
backdoor
bat.
cut you?
Tried to backdoor
said,
cut
"No,
me
sir."
0-2, and I said,
No,
no,
sir.
I love it.
And it was funny because the whole stadium was silent, except there were 17 of my family and friends that were there. And that was how I knew that they were there, because everybody was quiet when
You
I
could
got that
actually
hit.
hear them?
Except 17 people who went absolutely nuts.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
You could hear them
I could
in
hear
that
them.
stadium.
Yeah.
That's what's the best part about St. Louis is like it's like going to a golf event.
Yeah.
As cool as that stadium is and as great as the fans are, it is like high and low. It's
Yes.
never like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, you're
They're
right.
not
like
far
where
away.
it gets rowdy. It's
Yeah,
never
yeah,
rowdy. It's
yeah.
just like a
Yeah.
golf event.
Yeah, it was-
Polite. Very
it was the
polite.
Yeah,
coolest
17, by the
experience.
way. How cool is that?
Oh, it was
17
great.
friends and family.
So the guy that I was telling you about,
They couldn't bring your glove.
no,
Kidding me?
they couldn't bring my glove. The guy that I was
What a
telling you
great call.
about that just hung out with Robbie and Smikowski
Yeah.
yesterday, he was there. So one college teammate was there, a bunch of my family. One of my friends that I had, he was my best friend when I was like 4 years old, and his family moved to the St. Louis area.
Oh, what are the chances?
And so I hadn't talked to him in probably 12 years. He was at my Major League debut.
that had to be cool.
Oh, it was super cool. I saw him
That's so
afterwards, and I
cool.
was like, Mitchell, dude, it's so good to see you.
What's his name? Mitchell.
Yeah, man, it was like, it was a crazy, and some of my best friends were there. You know, I mean, it was just an unbelievable experience.
Was it after the first batter that you kind of settle in, or the first pitch, or take an inning or two before you go, okay, I can breathe?
It was the first inning. End of the
First
first
inning.
inning is when I settled down. I always will say this. The first pitch I threw to Matt Carpenter was a fastball right down the middle, strike one. And I could have thrown it in either dugout, and I wouldn't have been surprised. I could not feel my body at all. My whole body was just numb. I had so much adrenaline. I was so nervous. It was like 90 degrees and 180% humidity because
Yeah.
it was St. Louis in July. So I had soaked through my uniform completely already. And I was just like, I guess I'll just throw the pitch and see where it goes. And it went right down the middle. And I was like, oh, all right, nice.
Where is the baseball?
It is at my dad's house. My dad
That's
has
awesome.
all of my baseballs. He has my first pitch, my first strikeout, which was Johnny Peralta, which one of my best friends, Trevor Williams, also his first strikeout, Johnny Peralta.
That's cool.
Baseball has
Yeah, I
a way
know.
of
Yeah,
doing
I know.
that, man.
The baseball
I know.
circle.
So cool.
And then he has my first hit against Mike Leake, my first home run in Colorado, and my first
Which was a
and my
bomb.
only complete game, last ball. Yeah,
He's got them all.
he's got them all.
Good for you.
I
'cause he's such a huge fan.
eventually will have them.
Yeah.
But right now, my wife and I are still like decorating our house, and so once I get, I'm making an office, and once I finish the office decoration, then I'll get the baseballs and put them up in my place. But I'll let my dad. My dad has a bunch of bats that I use throughout my life, including a signed Josh Bell bat because I used Josh Bell bats in the minor leagues. So when I first started hitting, he let me use his bats, and I ended up using that model for my whole career.
Did you really?
Yeah.
What was the model?
Victus 271.
Ah,
Yeah.
Josh Bell used a 271.
He used
that
to.
big lunker of a man?
He used to, yeah.
Wow.
A 34, 31, 271.
Wow.
Yeah.
So a 271 Brownie, I mean, you probably know,
Yeah.
but like skinny
Yeah.
skinny
Skinny.
barrel.
Yeah.
Yeah, it has a tapered knob. Like, no surprise, Brault, back control.
Yeah.
Todd Helton used a 271.
Right.
I didn't think Bell would.
Bell, yeah.
Yeah, I think they lumberjack,
Yeah,
Victus
no matter what he would
447.
have in his hand, it would look small.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
September 1st, 2019, since Fort referred to it, not only that home run, 441 feet
Bomb.
at
Bomb.
Coors Field in
all I
Denver,
got.
Colorado, of all places, where you went to school at Regis University, right outside Denver. The complete game. Tell us about the 69 consecutive fastballs to start a game.
Well, we just played against the Rockies, and Elias Diaz is now their catcher. He was my catcher that day.
Okay.
He was a guy that I played with a lot, AA, AAA, coming up. He knew me really well. By that time in the big leagues, we didn't even use signs most of the time. If nobody was on base, we didn't use signs. If he wanted a fastball, he would just go like this with his hand. He would just go like that, because I almost never threw fastballs away. I only threw fastballs in pretty much. So if he went like this, it was just he was setting up in, and I was throwing. If it was a righty, I was throwing a fastball in. If it was a lefty, I was throwing a two-seamer in, and that was it, right? So he would do that. Slider, he would usually just tap his glove on the ground, just put it down, get it down here.
Isn't that cool?
And I threw it. And if I threw a changeup, which at that time I wasn't throwing many, he would just kind of put his glove up like that.
Oh my gosh.
It was really cool, man. It was a lot of fun, and like we talked about beforehand. I told him and Ray, my pitching coach at the time, Ray Searage, I was like, hey, I pitched in Colorado in college, and my fastball plays really well here, and my slider's terrible. So we're gonna really rely on the fastball tonight. I wasn't saying we were gonna throw only fastballs,
Yeah.
but I didn't shake off Diaz a single time. He called fastball every single pitch.
How was Ray with that idea, by the way?
Oh, he loved it.
Yeah.
He loved it, yeah.
Hey, complete game?
Oh, yeah.
It's
No, I'm
static.
talking about,
Yeah.
going into the game.
Yeah.
It wasn't a complete game. I will say that. I threw 7 innings, but it was
Shutout.
69 straight fastballs, which
Oh,
in
I
my
said
mind,
complete game. Yeah, it was.
it was like, I don't know, man. I talked to Bud Black, actually, who's the manager for the Rockies, still is, in an airport a little while after that. And he told me, man, I was walking up and down that dugout after the 3rd inning.
That's great.
Mother effing my players going, man, he's throwing fastballs.
Really?
They throw fastball, yeah.
Well, what made you or Elias stop throwing it? The 70th pitch. Why not a
It
fastball?
was Ian Desmond. He fouled off 2 fastballs that I think were literally over his head. Like literally, I threw them up here, and he fouled it off. And so we kind of looked at each other like,
Enough is enough.
enough is enough. Threw a slider. He swung over it, strike 3, and he literally laughed. Like, oh yeah, he's also allowed to throw off-speed pitches. Yeah.
Did you go back to the fastball then right away, or no?
Oh,
Then
yeah.
You started mixing it.
I started mixing a little bit more, but yeah, I stuck with it pretty much.
That was unbelievable. The way we were counting as it went on, it was fun. It was like a countdown, or count up.
And I
How
got
many's gonna
to
throw?
break that game down. So it was a
Oh,
blast.
really?
That's cool.
I told him like how fun that was for me, because guys talk about it all the time. And one thing I can't believe that Colorado didn't draft you one, and that you never played there, because everybody that pitches there, like you said, I pitched in Colorado, my fastball plays. I think there's something to be said about that. I'm really surprised that never happened for you.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I thing is, I played for the Pirates pretty much until my arm went kaput, and then I had one more
Kaput.
opportunity. Yeah, and one more opportunity with the Cubs, and I was hurt for the first half of the season, and then I threw really well for 9 innings, and then my arm went again. So it was just that was it for me.
Yeah.
The next off season, I was throwing lives the next off season in Arizona, sitting like 94, 95, with the best slider I'd ever had, striking everybody out, and nobody would sign me because they knew I was going to get hurt. And so I went and signed an independent ball with the plan to go pitch for a month and get signed, and I didn't even make a start in independent ball because my arm went in my first game out there, like first exhibition game we played.
You said
Explain that. Like what
Yeah.
what you mean by your arm went? 'Cause I think that'd be really good for fans to
So
understand.
when I was in 21, in spring training, I had signed first year of arbitration, and it was the first time that I was guaranteed a spot in the rotation. They told me going in, you got a spot in the rotation. Congratulations, do with it what you will, kind of thing. And then my 3rd or 4th start of spring training, I was feeling really good. I was doing well. It was the first inning against the Orioles in spring training, and I threw a fastball, and I felt my arm. It felt like my tricep cramped really bad, and then I threw the rest of that inning. I threw the whole next inning, but my fastball velocity was down to like 85, 86. And they didn't take me out of the game, which was weird. But so after that inning, I told them I couldn't go anymore. And I went in and I did tricep tests, and they're like, no, your tricep's fine, but that means we have to test your lat. And they did the lat test, and I couldn't do anything. So my lat had torn, which is a very rare injury and very bad. And so it became a debate. I talked to 6 different specialists and doctors, and 3 of them said get surgery, 3 of them said don't. And it was because the surgery is basically a career ender. So I decided to try to go through with it. I was out for like 4 months. I ended up coming back that year. And then from then on, it was about 4 months of rehab, 1 month of pitching healthy. Then I'd get hurt. 4 months of rehab, 1 month pitching healthy. It was tough.
So you said that's even though you're throwing hard, that they knew that you were going to get hurt. That's why
Yeah.
you did get signed.
Yeah. I went and actually, I don't know how this worked out, but I actually went and threw a game against the Padres minor leaguers in the offseason before 23. And I threw 3 innings, and I struck out 8 guys, and I was throwing 95 miles an hour.
You're with the Cubs then?
No, I was with nobody.
Oh.
It was like a tryout.
Oh, wow.
And everybody was there, man. Like all the scouts, GM was there. Everybody was there to watch me throw, and I was like, that's it. That'll get me signed. Nothing.
Huh.
And that's when I knew it was like, oh, so they're they look at my injury history and they're not happy with it, and they were right. I mean, I can't blame anybody. I went out to independent ball. I immediately got hurt, and that's why I switched over to position player. I wasn't ready to stop playing yet, but I knew I wasn't going to be able to pitch, so I played as a position player for a whole season in independent ball.
Outfield?
Outfield, yep. I hit like 280 with 7 home runs. It was really fun. I loved
That's
it. Man.
awesome.
Why do you keep playing independent ball?
Because I got hurt again. I got hurt 2 more times during that season as a position
What were
player.
those injuries?
Same.
Oh, really?
Lat,
Wow,
yeah.
wow.
I also, though, this is a good one. I missed a week because Dovydas Neverauskas, former Pirate great, was on my team. He was pitching. I was playing right field in Charleston, the West Virginia Power Stadium.
Gosh.
And he gave up a ball, home run ball. I ran up and I robbed it, but my head hit the concrete wall and I was out cold. I got knocked out completely. I'm just on the ground with my arms up, like this.
Ball's still in your glove, though.
No, it rolled out slowly.
But it counted.
Nope, they didn't count it.
No!
Yeah.
Replay.
They didn't count it. So then I wake up bleeding from the head and get walked into the training room like, what happened? And yeah, so I missed a week for that. But then at the end of the season, my wife was out visiting me, and I took a swing and my whole lat locked up, and I couldn't even extend it.
Really?
And
Same
I knew.
lat?
Yep. And I knew that was it. I was done.
Yeah.
Because I want to be able to play catch with my kids.
Yeah.
Play baseball with my kids.
Yeah.
And that wasn't going to happen, if I kept going. So it was time to call it quits, and I did.
Tell us
ready.
about that 441-foot home run, though. What that feeling was like. Who was the pitcher?
Jesus Tinoco.
Yeah, you don't forget those.
No.
No.
Oh, no, of course
He's
not.
in the book. He's like,
Yeah.
Okay, here you go. It was 0-1 on a fastball, 0-2 on a fastball, 1-2 on a splitter in the dirt, 2-2 on a splitter in the dirt. So I was like, he's 100% throwing a fastball right here. There is no way that he is going to throw another splitter and go 3-2.
Right.
And so I sat 100% fastball, and he threw it right down the middle. 95 miles an hour, and I could not hit a pitch any better.
Was there, of all the years you played baseball, was there anything like that?
No.
How clean that
That was
felt?
the first no-doubt home run I'd ever hit in my life. And man,
And it's in the big leagues.
And it's in
How
the
cool
big
is
leagues.
that?
And I pimped it too.
I was just going to ask you,
My
what'd you
whole
do?
life, I practiced. Everybody practices their pimp job,
Yeah.
with like wiffle bats and stuff.
You did the lay down.
And I
almost
did
the
the lay
Griffey.
down.
I'll never forget it. I was
Yeah.
watching
I don't
it.
remember.
Yeah, yeah.
I did
remember like
the
yesterday.
Griffey lay it down behind me. Bam.
He did. If he had the backwards hat
He
on,
did the
it
lay
would've been
down.
perfect.
Oh,
Yeah.
my gosh. That's so great. Was
You-
it solo?
Was it
Solo
not?
bomb,
Yeah.
It was almost in the third deck, wasn't it? Or was it in the
It was
third?
in the second deck. Yeah.
But just underneath that.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was
That's I played there for 3
441
years.
is a bomb,
That's
man.
big boy territory.
Yeah.
Like even in Colorado, because everybody says the ball travels further. Yes, it does. But it's really the big field that matters.
Yeah.
The fact that he hit it like that. I mean, I'm talking Carlos Gonzalez, Todd Helton.
Yeah.
I mean, you didn't see that a lot.
One of my
was
favorite things is
impressive.
there was somebody who put out like a stat of major league players who had never hit a ball that far. And there was like a list of a bunch of great players
Yeah.
with good power, and it was just really funny. It made me feel good about
What was
myself.
the reaction in the dugout like?
I got a
silent
hard
treatment?
silent treatment.
You did?
Hard silent
broke-
treatment.
Did
Who
you? I
broke
didn't
it?
even.
Trevor
Trevor.
broke it, and Clint broke it.
Yeah.
But the best part about it was Musgrove and I were, we were vying for who was going to hit the first big league homer because we went to the same high school
Yeah.
and we hit together in high school, right? So we always were like, who's going to hit the first one? And then he never even got one, and he doesn't hit
Well,
anymore.
but,
So I
hey.
got him. He was sitting there at the top of the step throwing sunflower seeds at me.
Oh, it's so
As I
good.
walked
We had a bet at the office.
Yeah.
And Musgrove took that BP showed off.
Oh yeah.
It showed off. So Brault would be hitting backside line drives at BP. Musgrove would be teeing off. So yeah, you thought Musgrove maybe run into one first, but you got him.
I got him.
Yeah, you got him. When he
I
comes
did.
in town, we'll have to sign a ball and say gotcha.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, yeah.
Would be nice to show it on the scoreboard when they come to town.
That's a
wouldn't it?
great idea.
Sneak that in.
Yeah, there you
just
go.
like actually
Yeah.
when they're taking BP.
Yeah,
I'm
I
gonna
like
ask,
that.
I'm gonna ask the scoreboard.
Were
Just
you the
sneak
la-
it in there. Just throw it in there.
Question is he the last Pirate pitcher to hit a homer?
No, I don't think so. I think somebody did hit one after me. Because that was 2019 and 2021 guys still hit, and I think somebody hit one in 21.
Okay.
But I don't remember.
It wasn't Musgrove though.
No, it wasn't Musgrove.
Got
Who
him.
was a better hitter in high school?
I mean, he hit for more power. I hit for higher average. You know,
Yeah, you said
I
he
was
was
a
a
3-hitter.
super-
He was a 4-hitter. He was an amazing baseball player in high school.
Was he really?
He threw harder than everybody. He hit better than everybody. He was incredible.
Really?
Oh yeah. As a junior, he was throwing like 96, 97 miles an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. And that was back when people didn't really do that either. So, I mean, he was unbelievable. He was a junior when I was a senior, and our, championship game, he threw 7 shutout innings. He threw a complete game shutout, and I went 3 for 4 with a single, double, and a triple, and we won 7-0.
That's awesome.
It was a good combo.
By the way, Tyler Anderson, I guess, took
That's right.
Marcus Stroman deep
I remember that.
just a couple years ago. I do not remember that.
Yeah.
I didn't remember that either.
So that's a good trivia
Catch
question.
partner of Brault's.
Catch partner.
What?
Oh yeah.
Really?
Played catch in the offseason a bunch. He playing catch with him is that's the best catch you'll ever play.
Why is
he
that?
literally hits you in the chest every single time.
Really?
Oh, he doesn't miss.
Besides you, let's say besides you and Musgrove, best pitcher athlete
Best pitcher athlete,
in the big leagues.
Woody Williams.
Wow, that what?
No, you've said it before. It's Tyler Glasnow.
It's Tyler
Oh,
Glasnow.
of
Tyler
course,
Glasnow
yeah.
is the best athlete in baseball. I would argue that.
No kidding.
Yeah.
He made this argument recently, and I couldn't even say a word.
I watched Tyler Glasnow do the most incredible things. He's the fastest person I've ever met in my life.
Right?
His I don't know if you noticed, his family does decathlons.
Did not know that.
On their way to work.
Yeah,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
His brother is a decathlete who does decathlons. So is his mom, I believe. And Tyler, I watched Tyler. So we would run poles, right, from one end to the other. And it was so easy for him, it was laughable. He was so fast. I watched him do 360 underneath the legs dunks easily in basketball. He had like a 40-inch vertical. He, let's see what else. He hit bombs in BP whenever he wanted to. He couldn't really hit in games all that well because his swing was so long. But I believe if he had been a hitter, he would have figured it out and would have been incredible. He's the most amazing athlete I've ever seen in my
That
life.
is something else.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
40-inch vertical.
That's ridiculous.
Come on.
That's insane.
Guy's
I'm gonna have
6'7".
to ask him about this when they come to town. What do you think of Shohei Ohtani?
Oh, he's the best. But also, like, now, because he's not pitching anymore, he's all of a sudden the best hitter in baseball.
Yeah, yeah.
And so now the question
Barry
is like,
Bonds.
yeah. So the question's like,
Yeah.
does he pitch again?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess he does because he
Yeah.
was that good of a pitcher. But like, man,
When you wonder how good a pitcher he would be if he just bagged hitting then.
dude, probably
know?
the best pitcher in
Yeah.
baseball.
Yeah.
It's remarkable. I don't
Yeah.
know if we'll ever see anything like it again.
Probably not.
It'd be really
There's
hard.
a guy at Florida that's doing it right now. He's got like 22 homers, sub-1 ERA last I looked. But, I mean, you think about it. He came over here and struggled a little at first, but, man. Ooh.
Yeah, remember that when we were all there was a time when we were all like,
yeah.
He's a buzz. He's not gonna be good.
And then he put that foot down early and just said,
Yeah.
nah.
No.
Nay, nay. All right, tell us about the music career and a pitch at Broadway that you
Yeah.
performed. You cut an album.
I did.
How that came about?
Okay, so in 2018, I went up to Clint Hurdle and I asked him if he would be okay with me singing the national anthem before a game because I did it in the minor leagues and I had done it in college a bunch of times and it was something I really wanted to do. It's something my grandma, rest her soul, really wanted me to do.
That's cool.
And I was like, you know what? I would love to do it. If you would let me, if it'd be okay. And he said yes. He was really cool about it. So I talked to the Pirates, and they set up a time for me. And after I sang it, it opened up a lot of doors for me. And I got to talk to a lot of people, do a lot of stuff with the Broadway scene that I never thought I'd get to do. And one of them was I got to meet a producer who worked with Bernie Williams when he went into music, and Bronson Arroyo when he went into music, all those guys. I did that, and we did a Broadway album, and I got to work with some incredible musicians. We recorded it in LA and San Diego over a few weeks in the off season of 2018 to 2019, I believe. And I mean, it was super cool. And then I put that out, and then that opened up some other opportunities where, I got to sing with the Pittsburgh Symphony Orchestra at Heinz Hall. I love music. I love singing. It'll always be a passion of mine. But I don't know if I could do it as a job. Now that I've gotten here, I think it's more of something I love, a passion
really
of mine.
a fun hobby, but you don't dabble in it. That's all. It's professional is what you did, so you don't really do that much anymore.
No, I maybe I'll get more into it. But
what about doing like gigs around town?
Oh, I would love that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, would you do that?
Oh yes. Yeah.
You have not yet.
Hit me up.
Yeah, but that'll happen. There's a lot of great areas in Pittsburgh.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Local bands and stuff.
It was it started with when I was in middle school. I did musicals. When I was in high school, I was in a rock band with some of my great buddies, and we got to perform a lot of places. We were pretty good, and I just kept it going. Found out I was a better singer than an actor, so I started to focus more on the vocal performance, which is what I studied in college, instead of acting. And when I did that thing with Broadway, it was like, maybe this is something I could do. But I decided after I was going to be finished playing baseball, I don't really want to go to the bottom and work my way up again, because it's just as hard to make it in music as it is in baseball, right? So I didn't necessarily want to start that whole process over. So maybe it's something that as time goes on, I'll definitely do as a hobby. Absolutely. In the off seasons, I still play piano and sing. And
you do?
Oh, yeah. So
do you take formal piano lessons, or you play
no,
by ear?
I play. I know piano well enough to play chords to accompany myself singing. That's basically it.
So, real quick, if you had to pick a genre, right? What would you pick? You said you did rock with your boys in high school. What would you pick now? Like, would you do Ron Burgundy style jazz flute? What would you do?
Jazz flute?
Yeah,
No, I
jazz
would
flute.
do blues rock.
Sick.
nice.
Blues rock is my favorite.
So, comparison for fans that I love music.
Like the Black Keys.
Yeah.
Or I mean, it's kind of hard to, because I don't want to go full blues.
You'd be a hybrid. There's no way you wouldn't
be a hybrid. But the Black Keys would be like the #1 influence. I love that type of music where it's still improvised and it's kind of like a jam kind of feel, but it's got the rock with the distortion and everything along with it. That's where my niche is
I like it. I like it.
Because then I can sing weird and raspy and all that stuff. I like doing that. Yeah.
That's cool.
Do you have do you have a favorite go-to song, whether it's an old musical song?
To sing?
Yeah. I mean, if somebody said, "Hey,
Stevie
get up-
Wonder.
Steve Warner," you
Just
say?
really stuff by Stevie Wonder.
Oh, Stevie
'Cause
Wonder.
I
Yeah,
have a high-pitched
okay.
voice like
yeah,
him.
That plays well with your.
Yeah, that's kind
Did
of
you
more in my
decide
range.
that? Like you match the rhythm, and that's how you kind of decide that? Or?
Yeah, I mean, like, I was a tenor in music, which means you're the guy who sings highest, So really in rock music, most guys are tenors. You're really not going to find any baritones or anything like that. Like Elvis was a baritone, right? So that's the kind of, I could sing that, but it's not quite as adventurous and fun. There's no like risk of your voice cracking and you sounding like an idiot,
Yeah.
So it's just not as fun. You know what I mean?
You like the risk.
I like the risk.
I love it.
Yeah.
Where do you think you get your self-confidence? Did you always have it, even as a young kid? Or did you
Yeah,
get?
I think so.
You really did.
I think so. Yeah, I think my dad instilled it in us that it was like, if you do something, no matter what it is, you have to put 100% into it, because no matter what, your name's going to be on it, right? And he taught me this from mowing the lawn. One time I mowed the lawn, but I didn't edge, the outside of the grass.
That's amazing.
And he was like, I know that you did this and you did a bad job. You're okay with me knowing you did a bad job.
Oh, that's something.
And it really flipped the switch in me, where it was like, no, I'm not okay with that, because even though it's something I don't enjoy doing, I don't want somebody to think that I'm not good at it. You know what I mean?
Man.
And so I always put 100% in everything I did. And I think with that comes confidence. And also confidence to fail, I think, comes from baseball. It's
that's a
one of
good
the
call.
things I love about baseball is that you learn from a very young age that you're going to fail most of the time. And so it teaches you that even when you fail, you can learn from that. You can get better. You can progress even though it seems like it's really bad at the time. And so I think baseball has taught me a lot of that too. But also, we are who we are. When I was a kid, still now, most of my best friends are super nerds. We game, we talk about Pokemon and we talk about,
That's awesome.
whatever
That's
nerd.
awesome.
Lord of the Rings is my favorite movie series.
great.
It's like I'm me and I'm confident in being me. And I think my family distilled that in me when I was a kid.
And something you'll respect, being with him over the last month and a half, his work is impeccable. Like, he's prepared every
Oh, you
single
can
day.
tell, yeah.
Yeah, and you really don't know what to be prepared for a lot of times on live TV. So, reality of it is, just his notes, the way he does it, it has rhythm, it has reason, and it's really, really good. And
Thanks, man.
We talk, really, it's awesome. But we talk about that all the time with, Rob King, Zan Greeley, Guy. The one thing that makes anybody who they are in this industry is their prep, especially when it comes to announcing everything else. But that's been fun to watch. For
Thanks,
me.
dude.
Yeah. So you'd really respect
What
that.
made you get into that, by the way? Have you always wanted to be on TV?
Always.
And on TV,
Yeah.
not just radio.
I love radio too. Don't get me wrong. I would love to do radio as well. But there's something about narrating the game this is why I've always wanted to be play-by-play. I love color. I love doing the studio analyst. But my dream is to do play-by-play because the idea of narrating the game, I'm so jealous of you. I have a question for you, by the way.
I'm
after
jealous
this.
of you pitching in Colorado and
There you go.
441 home runs.
It was always when I was a kid, I would watch baseball, and my favorite part was the announcers talking through it and explaining what was going on and talking about the game and little things that happen. And, I just think that's so cool, and kind of getting to narrate what's going on. Being the narrator has always seemed really appealing to me. But now here's my question for you. Do you have a call that you're really proud of that you think you absolutely nailed?
It's
some
so
big
funny you
moment?
say that because nobody asked me that. Nobody asked it that way.
Yeah,
But
because
it's so
because
funny you
people are
say
weird
that.
about making people brag.
So-
Brag about yourself.
No, it's not even bragging.
I
It
want
really
you to.
isn't.
He hates.
No.
He hates
It's
bragging
not
about
even.
himself.
It's not even bragging. It's just. There was a game. I think it was opening day. I don't know what year it was. I don't know what team it was. It was nothing. I think in the 10th, Neil Walker won it with a walk-off home run. I don't know.
It was Chicago.
At
Grand
PNC
Slam.
Park. No, that was at Wrigley.
Didn't he do
I
it
think.
twice? He did it twice.
I think that was at Wrigley.
Okay.
I think this one. I think it was the Twins. But anyway, the point of the story is this: it was a walk-off home run, and I think I think it was the bottom of the 10th at PNC Park. But the game was going into extra innings, and Bob Walk was on the radio with me, and as Walker's coming to the plate, we had talked about, for some reason, we had been discussing old-time calls, and how they would talk about extra innings and so. And we got into Bob Prince, who was the Hall of Fame broadcaster for the Pirates, nicknamed the Gunner. And at one point, Bob said something about what would the Gunner talk about? Well, we need a bloop and a blast, or something to that effect. Just then, Walker, there's a fly ball to right field. You can kiss it goodbye. And that's all I did. And no one ever, I'm sure some people realized the tie-in. That was Bob Prince's home run call. You can kiss it goodbye. And I didn't do it like the Gunner. He had the gravelly voice.
Right.
And that's how he used to do it. And I said, drive to right field. You can kiss it goodbye. And laid out, and the place went crazy opening day. And I thought to myself, in my mind, that's the best call I've ever had. Subtle. So anyway, long story.
Was
Yeah,
that
it's
just
great.
Yeah, was that just in the moment?
It was just the timing of it was so perfect because we'd just been talking
But
about.
you couldn't have been thinking about that was going to be the call.
you're
the
not.
other day.
Because that's the great thing about baseball is you guys know better than anybody. But
Yeah.
the timing, when things go right, whether you're on the mound, whether you're behind the microphone, whether you're up at the hub, and just everything flows, everything works, and it just so happened we're talking about it. He hits the ball, and of course I knew the Gunner's call was, "You can
Right.
kiss it goodbye," and just the timing worked out. So, but
That's great.
So you would still love to do play-by-play? Is that kind of your ultimate?
That's the ultimate goal for me is play-by-play, yeah.
I think I've talked to Fort about this. Do you know Jeff Brantley at all? The former,
Not personally.
He was a former closer in the
Yeah,
big
yeah.
leagues, and is the Cincinnati Reds. I think he does color some, but you're the first person I've heard since him years ago when he first got into the business. I was talking to him after a game. We were in Cincinnati, and we're walking us to the elevator, and I'm talking about how he got into it. And I said, "You're doing play-by-play now." He goes, "Yeah." As a matter of fact, I wanted to be a play-by-play announcer way more than a baseball player. And he went to the All-Star game one year. I think it might have been it was in St. Louis. And he said, I wasn't looking for all the other. This is he was a pretty young player in his career, but I wasn't looking for other all-star players to meet up with them and say. I was looking for Jack Buck, the broadcaster.
Yeah.
I couldn't wait to meet Jack Buck. So it's interesting that you've got that 1-2, and you did a little play-by-play in spring training.
I did, yeah.
Did you like it?
I loved it.
Did that give you the taste that you wanted to do it?
It gave me the taste. It did. It was really cool because it was Joe and Bob and I, and the best part about that day was it was in Lakeland. We're playing against the Tigers, and Bob picked me up from my hotel. It's like an hour-and-a-half drive, and we drove up together. So I got an hour and a half, just Bob and I, talking about broadcasting and preparing and all that stuff. And then we called the game. I did color most of the game, and to the point where it made me feel really good because both Bob and Joe left during the game at some point. Just gave us like 1 or 2 innings with just the other two of us.
Oh, okay.
Right? And so when Joe was gone, I did play-by-play with Bob doing color.
I see.
Cool.
Oh,
And we, it was really fun. And then afterwards, Joe got in the car with us, and we took the long way home. And it was like an hour, 45-minute drive through the countryside of Florida, just the three of us talking about preparing. And
That's
cool.
cool.
And Joe taught me how he prepares, in getting players and keeping everything so that you can look back on it. And I've taken that, and I've ran with it. So
That's great.
I have game notes for every game the Pirates have played this season in a folder on my computer. It's actually on the cloud so that it's definitely not going to get lost.
It's not going anywhere.
And
not like your glove.
Exactly,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
And so now I can look back on it, and I can use that experience and all the notes that I've taken on players. I won't have to go find them somewhere else. I won't have to go lose it and find it somewhere else. And it's been really helpful already. So I feel like in my first month and a half that I've been doing this, I've gotten so much experience and learned so much from you and from Joe and from Bob and from you, because we talked before I even got here on the phone, and just like all these conversations that have really been helpful, and I've developed some incredible connections. But yeah, when it comes down to it, my dream is to be able to, I want to be there along with the big moments. You know what I mean? Like, I love doing the analysis of games. I love talking about the game before and after the fact, but I want to be along for the ride while it's happening.
Yeah.
That's my dream. And to be able to narrate it to a point where people can, feel good about it. I remember Ted Leitner and Jerry Coleman growing up in San Diego, right? I remember listening to their voices and thinking, like, this is baseball. For me, Joe Buck is playoff baseball. Those are the voices that I attach to all that. And I want to be one of those voices for somebody else.
That's great.
That's kind of the way I think about it.
You won't be like Jerry Coleman saying things like, they've got Kevin Folkers is throwing up in the bullpen.
Yeah, he's throwing up in the bullpen.
Let's see, he's
You can hang a star on that,
you can hang a star on that
baby.
one. There's a fly ball to center field, and Northrup goes, he bangs his head up against the wall, and it's rolling back to the infield.
Yeah, that's so funny. You would know that call.
He's got a lot of them.
Yeah, I'm sure I will. Hopefully have a long career.
Those are great. That's the fun part.
Exactly.
Walkie and I talk about that. There's Doran Check, our radio engineer, has a recording of. He's kept it, and we got to play it sometime of the bloopers. Because they're hilarious. Some of the mistakes we've made
They're
over the
talking
years.
about doing that with us over at the.
Oh.
Yeah.
Because
We have a
pretty
lot of
funny
fun.
off
Well,
camera.
we have plenty of. We've got plenty of it too. How about what was the first tattoo and why?
First tattoo is actually on my chest. It's basically like this, but it's on my chest, and I got it for multiple reasons. One, I always wanted tattoos, but my parents would not pay for them.
I love this.
So as soon as I signed, it was like I have my own money now, so I got a tattoo on my chest. And then I also got it on my chest just in case I hated it, so that I could hide it
That's
forever.
good. That's a good call.
If I
that's pretty
didn't
smart,
like
though.
it.
That's smart.
Yeah.
I remember the first time when this was the first forearm tattoo I got, and I remember as soon as he started putting the ink to skin, I was panicking, dude. I was like, I'm never gonna be able to hide this unless I wear a long sleeve shirt. And luckily, times have changed where it doesn't really matter anymore, But I always wanted tattoos, and I didn't want any meaning with them. I wanted just to be art on my body.
There's no meaning at all.
There's no meaning.
Oh.
Just.
But how did it come to be? Like, you walk in, say, I love this process.
I walked in, so I found a guy online, and he did geometric shapes, and so I went to him to do, this stuff, And then I basically was like, I want something really colorful on this side since we're going black and gray on this side. And he suggested the fish scales. And we could just do a rainbow fish scale design and do as much color as we could. And so we did that. And then I have traditional Japanese going up on my shoulder and on my chest. And it's just, I always just wanted the designs. I am going to get a leg sleeve over time. That's just going to be a bunch of random tattoos of stuff I like. So I guess those will have meaning, but not real meaning. It'll be like, you know, Mario, and then like Zelda, and then some Lord of the Rings stuff, and then stuff like that. My nerdy leg. It'll be my nerdy leg.
Nerdy
That's
leg.
what
I like
do.
that.
Yeah.
I like
yeah.
that.
Is that how you get squid? What's squid from?
Squid is from Stan Kiles. Stan Kiles
Oh my
was
gosh.
AAA pitching coach when I was there, who, by the way, is one of my favorite pitching coaches I've ever had. Never coached mechanics, only coached mindset.
Really?
Really, really great coach.
Why
But-
did you like that so much?
Because once you get to that level, how much more
Touche.
mechanics do you really need?
Touche.
You know, like you know how you throw, so now it's about how do you actually get people out. So he didn't believe in trying to change mechanics and stuff unless something was glaringly wrong. But most of it was just mindset and how to attack hitters and stuff like that. But he told me that growing up, he would, you know, the kids, he grew up in Chicago, and when they thought somebody was annoying, they would call him Squid.
Oh my God.
So that's how you got it?
Yeah. So, and then he told me, he's like, I just want you to know that whenever I call anybody else Squid now, it means they're acting like you.
But what were
set
you
the
doing
bar.
to annoy him?
I talked a lot, man. We had a great relationship.
That's great.
We had an awesome, really close relationship. I still talk to him every now and then. But, you know, it was something that, you know, he was like my baseball dad, you
That's
know, and
cool.
I spent so much time in AAA, understand Kyle's and learned so much from him, and we got really close. But really, all we do is talk crap to each other all the time. You know, that's how two guys bond, right?
No, there's no doubt.
Exactly.
Yeah,
absolutely.
for
So
sure.
all we would do was just, you know,
Get on each other.
ironically butt heads all the time. And so, you know, there was a time that now that I'm retired, I can say this, when I had to throw a bullpen on an off day. And then we were in Indianapolis, and I had gone out the night before, you know, and I was a little hungover, and I threw a bullpen in just shorts because there was nobody else in the field.
Yeah.
So I was just wearing cleats and shorts, shirtless, no hat, nothing like that. And Stan came up to me and he goes, hey, you know I'm going to have to videotape this and send this to the Pirates, right? And I was like, but do you, Stan? And he's like, yeah. And so he videotaped it, and as far as I know,
He didn't
sent it
send
to
it
the
to the- he
Pirates.
did.
I don't
We
know.
need to find that film.
Nobody said anything about
That's
it.
great.
You didn't
But
hear
I'll tell
back.
you what,
Wow.
one of the best bullpens I've ever thrown. Wow, it was crisp.
Really?
It was really good.
Well,
yeah.
that wasn't because of what you were wearing. It's because of how you felt.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, he was
The
free
headache.
that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
that mindset was in place.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I mean, I love Stan. He taught me a lot, but yeah, he gave me the nickname Squid.
Pittsburgh, why is it special? Someplace special, do you think? That's one of the things, the theme that we have here on Hold My Cutter. The people that always seem to somehow find a way to migrate back to this great area.
I'll tell you what, when I was growing up, we went to PNC Park when I was a kid. When I was 12, we drove through here to watch the Padres play against the Pirates. And it was like one of the first years of PNC Park. You know, it was very new. And it was immediately my mom's favorite stadium. She immediately fell in love with it. And I'll never forget, Ryan Klesko was playing for the Padres at the time. And he tossed his
Man, I
batting
haven't
gloves.
heard that name
I
in
know,
a
right?
while. Wow.
He tossed his batting gloves up to me, and the guy next to me stole them from me. Bad
No.
experiences.
Bad human being.
Bad
You're a
human.
kid again, right?
Yeah.
So you got a ball taken away. They
Yeah.
hit you with Tony
Same
Gwynn.
kid.
Yeah.
Golly.
But I mean, I just fell in love with it then. And then when I got drafted to, you know, and then I was playing for the Orioles, I got traded to the Pirates. Like I said, it wasn't a team I knew anything about. And I came to Pittsburgh the first time to actually be here, and I just fell in love with it, man. It's a feeling of home. It was a feeling of home, like pretty much immediately. I love the people here. I love the passion for the sports teams here. One of my favorite things about Pittsburgh, and my wife's favorite thing too, is that all the teams are black and gold.
Yeah.
And so no matter what team you're wearing, you're always wearing a Pittsburgh team's colors. And I think that's really, really cool, and I cannot believe that more places don't do that.
Right?
It's crazy to me. Now that I've experienced it, it seems so obvious.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But I've since I got to live here for, 5 seasons, I just fell in love with it, man. I lived in Lawrenceville. I spent most of my time in downtown, but I drove around everywhere. Now I'm living up in Cranberry. I just love everything about this city. it feels like my second home. It really does. And I don't know. It just seemed like everybody was very welcoming to me when I was here, and they're even more welcoming now that I'm back. And I couldn't be happier to be here. I don't know. It's just there's nothing really specific about it that I would say is the reason. It's just I have a very good feeling of home when I'm here.
Do you feel like the fans embraced you rather quickly?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. The fans here are awesome, and they make it so much more fun because they care so much.
Yeah.
You know, like I get that sometimes it's hard, you know, and sometimes baseball's tough, and we weren't good when I was here. That's just the truth. And I understand all of that. And, you know, I wish I could have been here in 13, 14, and 15 when the team was crazy and the stands were rocking all the time. But none of that stuff ever fazed me because I knew when I went to, you know, a restaurant or something here and people would just walk up to you and they're not weird, they're not crazy.
Yeah.
They just, hey, I'm a really big fan and I really enjoy watching you pitch and, you know, stuff like that. And they have some specific memory, you know, you signed a ball for my kid, you know, 2 years ago, and that really means a lot to us. And they remember that stuff. And to me, that's that camaraderie that you get with the city when you play here that is unusual and not common for other cities.
It'll suck you in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It'll suck you in. And the longer you're here, what is it, 6 years? 5 years? We talked about it.
5 years. Mike Lang,
5 years.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, it's like it
You're locked.
encapsulates you in a different way because I felt the same way. I knew nothing about Pittsburgh except Barry Bonds because I loved Barry Bonds as a kid. I knew he played here. It's about it. So I showed up and I'm like, there's a lot of bridges.
Oh,
like,
so many bridges.
Yeah, so many bridges. But yeah, you walk in that stadium, you're like, whoa, like this is way, way cooler than I could have ever imagined.
And it is
like,
the prettiest stadium.
by
It
far.
is.
Oh, yeah.
There's no question.
And San Diego's pretty, but nothing like PNC.
Yeah.
But
It's
yeah,
not PNC.
And it's been cool to see some fans come up, embrace it, and they have his jersey on, and like he lights up, man. And that's when you know it means more.
Yeah, that's right.
And a lot of times you can see guys like, but like with him, you can see it lights up. He cares about the fans. He cares about the city, and he wants what we want, Browning.
Yep.
He wants winning baseball in Pittsburgh
That's right.
more than most.
Right.
And that's really cool to see. And I'm lucky to work with him.
Yeah.
Hey, I was a niche guy. If I see a guy wearing my jersey, that's a fan right there. You know what I mean? Like, that's a guy.
Vice versa. I get it, yeah.
And the great thing also, what's your favorite podcast?
Hold My Cutter.
Thank you. And with that, we thank Steven Brault on Hold My Cutter. Join us next time.